The Odin space station hummed with the soft, unceasing drone of technology and harmony. Jack Turner, leaning back in the comfort of the observation deck, gazed out at the blue curve of Earth below. His companion, Dr. Alara Miles, an astrophysicist, was scribbling down notes from their earlier observations. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Jack mused, breaking the silence. Alara glanced up, her eyes following his gaze. "It never gets old," she agreed, smiling. "Makes all our squabbles down there seem trivial." Their tranquil moment was shattered by a sudden alarm. Screens flickered to life, showing the approach of an unknown object at high speed. "What in the world?" Jack muttered, standing up. Alara tapped into the station's sensor array. "It's not from Earth, it's extraterrestrial." Her voice was a mix of excitement and fear. "Extraterrestrial? Are you sure?" Jack questioned, peering over her shoulder at the data. Before Alara could reply, the station's communication officer, Lieutenant Hansen, burst into the room. "We're receiving a transmission," he announced, his voice tense. "Put it through," Jack ordered, his years of military training kicking in. The main screen flicked to the image of an alien being, humanoid, but with translucent skin and vibrant eyes. "I am Zantok of the Zelkorian Empire," the creature began, its voice oddly melodious. "We seek refuge. We are pursued by aggressors with intent to destroy us." Jack and Alara exchanged a look of disbelief. Refuge? Aggressors? The situation was escalating beyond their expectations. "Can we trust them?" Alara whispered, her eyes locked on the screen. Jack frowned, considering. "We need more information. Zantok, can you tell us who is after you and why?" The alien's image wavered as another alert sounded. The sensors showed a second, much larger fleet closing in fast. Zantok's face grew tense. "They are the Vroks, relentless destroyers of worlds. We did not believe in violence until they forced us to flee." As they watched, the first of the Zelkorian ships came into view, sleek and shimmering, followed by the menacing dark fleet of the Vroks. The contrast was stark and foreboding. Lieutenant Hansen was back on the comms. "Sir, the UN is calling. They're tracking this and demand an immediate briefing." "Tell them we're on it," Jack said, turning to Alara. "We need to help them, Alara. It's not just about policy, it's about doing what's right." Alara nodded, her scientist's mind racing through possibilities. "We can use the station's defenses to cover their approach. It might give them enough time to explain further." Jack started issuing orders. "Hansen, coordinate with the defense team. Let's make sure we give them a fighting chance." As the station's crew sprung into action, Jack and Alara prepared themselves to face a situation no training could have ever prepared them for. An interstellar conflict at their doorstep, a test of humanity's mettle in the face of the unknown. Inside the bustling command center of the United Nations headquarters in New York, the atmosphere was charged with a mix of apprehension and urgency. Diplomats and military leaders filled the room, all eyes fixed on the large screen displaying live footage from Odin Station. Jack Turner stood at the front beside Dr. Alara Miles, ready to brief the assembly. General Martinez, the chair of the meeting, gave Jack a nod to begin. "Ladies and gentlemen," Jack started, his voice clear and steady. "This morning at 0934 hours, Odin Station confirmed the first verified extraterrestrial contact. An alien species, identifying themselves as Zelkorians, requested asylum from an aggressive force known as the Vroks." Murmurs filled the room as the screen switched to show the sleek, battered Zelkorian ships entering Earth's orbit, followed by ominous footage of the pursuing Vrok fleet. "A Zelkorian named Zantok communicated their peaceful intentions and their desperate need for refuge," Alara continued. "Our preliminary assessments suggest no immediate threat to Earth. However, the Vrok pursuit poses a significant risk." General Martinez stood, his expression grave. "What are your recommendations, Mr. Turner?" Jack didn't hesitate. "We propose offering temporary refuge to the Zelkorians under strict quarantine on the lunar base, while keeping diplomatic channels open with the Vroks to avoid any misunderstandings." A British delegate raised a hand. "And if the Vroks interpret this as an act of war?" "It's a risk," Jack admitted, "but abandoning a peaceful species to potential annihilation doesn't align with our principles or international law." The Chinese ambassador leaned forward. "What is the strategic advantage for us? If these Vroks are as dangerous as you suggest, are we prepared for the consequences?" Before Jack could respond, a young aide rushed in with a message for General Martinez, who read it quickly and looked up with new urgency. "The Vroks have sent a communication. They demand we surrender the Zelkorians or face dire consequences." Silence descended. The weight of the decision hung heavily in the room. Dr. Miles spoke up, her voice firm. We have an opportunity to stand by our values and possibly gain new allies with advanced technologies. The potential benefits could be substantial. General Martinez took a deep breath. We will need to prepare for all scenarios. Mr. Turner, Dr. Miles, coordinate with our defense forces and science teams. We'll offer the Zelkorians asylum while preparing our defenses. We also need back channels open with the Vrox to negotiate peace. As the meeting adjourned, Jack and Alara moved quickly to implement the plans. They contacted the lunar base to prepare for the arrival of the Zelkorians and started organizing a team of top diplomats and scientists for the negotiations with the Vrox. Jack felt the weight of history on his shoulders. The choices made in the coming days could either open a new chapter of interstellar cooperation or lead to an unprecedented global conflict. As he walked out of the meeting room with Alara, he knew they were stepping into uncharted territory, but he was resolved to navigate it with humanity's best foot forward. Back on Odin Station, Jack and Dr. Alara Miles were busy setting up a secure communication link with the lunar base. In the cramped confines of the main lab, techs buzzed around, adjusting equipment and running diagnostics to ensure that everything was operational for the Zelkorians' arrival. So, how much do we really understand about their technology? Jack asked, watching a technician calibrate a scanner that would be used for analyzing Zelkorian equipment. Not much yet, Alara replied, scrolling through the digital manual the Zelkorians had provided. Their tech is advanced, but they've been surprisingly open about sharing information. It might be out of desperation, but I believe they genuinely want to collaborate. As they spoke, the first group of Zelkorian refugees began transmitting their data. Jack noticed the weariness in their holographic forms as they appeared on the screen. Welcome to Earth's domain, he greeted them formally. We're here to help. Thank you, Earthlings, Zantok replied, his voice filled with relief. We are grateful for your sanctuary. Alara directed their attention to the task at hand. Zantok, can you explain more about the technology you use, especially your defensive capabilities? Zantok nodded, and a holographic display of a Zelkorian ship lit up the room, revealing intricate patterns of energy flow and shield distributions. Our defenses are energy-based. They are highly effective against similar energy weapons, but unfortunately not against the Vrock projectiles. Jack perked up at this. Projectile? Like bullets? Yes, exactly, Zantok confirmed. The Vrox use a form of enhanced kinetic projectiles that our shields cannot stop. This information sparked an idea in Jack. Alara, could we try adapting our projectile weapons to see if they could be effective against the Vrox, if their armor can't handle simple kinetics? Alara caught on quickly. It's worth a shot. Let's set up a test. We'll need to use the firing range in the lower deck. Hours later, Jack and Alara, along with a team of weapon specialists and Zelkorian engineers, stood behind the reinforced safety glass of the firing range. A piece of rock armor, provided by the Zelkorians as a sample, was mounted in the test area. All right, let's see what Earth Tech can do, Jack said, nodding to the technician. The first test used standard ammunition, which, to everyone's surprise, made a clear dent in the Vrock armor. The room burst into murmurs of excitement and disbelief. Alara was quick to organize the data. This is groundbreaking. If we can penetrate their armor at this basic level, imagine what slightly modified projectiles could do. Jack was already on the comms, calling General Martinez. Sir, you're going to want to hear this. We've got a potential game-changer for our defense strategy against the Vrox. As they prepared for further tests, the implications were clear. Earth's seemingly outdated projectile technology might just be the key to leveling the playing field against a technologically superior foe. Jack and Alara knew they were on the brink of a significant breakthrough, one that could change the course of their unexpected interstellar conflict. In the wake of the surprising discovery that Earth's projectile weapons could penetrate Vrock armor, the international community was abuzz. Jack and Dr. Alara Miles prepared to present their findings to the Galactic Council, a recently revealed body governing the numerous advanced civilizations that Earth had just learned about. The Council was convening on Delta Station, an enormous space platform orbiting a peaceful neutral planet, which now included human representatives. The station, a hub of alien diplomacy and trade, buzzed with activity as species of various forms and sizes communicated in a cacophony of alien dialects. Jack, dressed in his formal military uniform, walked alongside Alara, who carried a digital case containing all their project data. Think they'll go for it? He asked, glancing around at the alien delegates milling about the station's central concourse. Alara adjusted her glasses, a slight nervous tick. They have to. Our tests don't lie, and their current defenses are failing. They need us as much as we need their cooperation. As they entered the council chamber, a vast circular room with a floating platform at the center, they were met with skeptical gazes from the assembly. Taking his place at the podium, Jack began, "Esteemed members of the Galactic Council, we come before you with a proposal that could alter the course of the war with the Vrox." He proceeded to explain the tests conducted on the Vrock armor, showing detailed holographic images of the penetration tests and the effectiveness of modified Earth projectiles. Murmurs of interest and whispers of disbelief spread among the delegates. A towering Arcturian delegate, her voice resonant and deep, addressed Jack. "You propose that we adopt your primitive projectile technology against the Vrox? It seems desperate." Jack met her gaze confidently. "What seems primitive on Earth could be revolutionary here. Our tests confirm its potential. We ask not only to assist, but to join your efforts as equals." The room fell silent as the delegates considered his words. After a long pause, a delegate from the technologically advanced planet Serenia spoke up. "We are willing to consider this. Earth's involvement could bring fresh perspectives necessary for our survival." A vote was called, and after several tense moments, the decision was made. The Galactic Council agreed to integrate Earth into their military strategies against the Vrox. Cheers erupted in the chamber, and many delegates approached Jack and Alara, now eager to discuss logistics and planning. After the meeting, as they left the chamber, Alara looked at Jack with a grin. "Looks like Earth just became a key player on the galactic stage." Jack nodded, feeling the weight of their new responsibility. "Let's hope our solution is as effective in the field as it is in theory. We've got a lot of work ahead." As they walked back through the bustling station, it was clear that Earth's role in the galaxy had shifted overnight. Jack and Alara were not just representatives of Earth anymore. They were now pivotal figures in a galactic alliance, tasked with turning the tide in a cosmic conflict. They returned to their ship, ready to start the immense job of preparing for the upcoming battles. Jack Turner and Dr. Alara Miles returned to Earth, energized by their diplomatic success, but weighed down by the enormity of the task ahead. They were now charged with integrating human projectile technology into the Galactic Council's military forces. The Moonbase Alpha had been designated as the central training ground for this monumental effort. Jack oversaw the construction of expansive new training facilities, which were quickly filled with a mix of human instructors and alien recruits. The recruits, representing various species from the Galactic Council, eyed the conventional firearms with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. "All right, let's get started," Jack announced to the assembled troops. "These weapons might look simple, but they're going to give us the edge we need. Each of you will learn how to handle, maintain, and effectively use these in combat." Training sessions were rigorous. Jack moved among the aliens, correcting holds and stances, demonstrating loading and firing procedures, and constantly emphasizing safety and precision. Alara, meanwhile, worked with alien engineers to adapt the weapons to different anatomies and physiologies. The diverse group struggled initially with the unfamiliar technology. Tensions flared as misunderstandings occurred due to language barriers and cultural differences. However, as the days turned into weeks, a sense of camaraderie began to develop among the trainees. Shared struggles on the training field slowly transformed erstwhile strangers into comrades. In one notable instance, a particularly large Arcturian recruit named Zarthok managed to clumsily dismantle his weapon, much to the amusement of a nearby group of tiny, agile Pythians. Instead of the expected frustration or anger, laughter broke out, bridging gaps as Zarthok good-naturedly joined in the jest at his own expense. "See, it's not just about shooting," Jack told them one evening after a long day of drills. "It's about building something together, trust, respect, and maybe even a bit of friendship." As the training progressed, Alara led a team to develop specialized ammunition adapted to exploit specific weaknesses in Vrock armor, identified through continuous testing and analysis. This new ammo was soon distributed for field training, enhancing the effectiveness of their combat drills. Finally, after months of preparation, the newly formed force was deemed ready. The command center on Moonbase Alpha buzzed with activity as Jack and Alara planned their first coordinated strike against a strategic Vrock supply depot located in the Gliza 581 system. The operation was risky, the target heavily fortified, but the stakes were too high to ignore. As the troops prepared to depart, Jack addressed the mixed assembly of human and alien soldiers. "Today, we take the fight to the Vrox. Each of you has trained hard and prepared for this moment. Remember, we're not just fighting for our homes or even our species. We're fighting for the future of this alliance. Let's show them what we can do. Cheers filled the air as the troops boarded their spacecraft, ready to undertake their first real test as a united force. The operation would not only prove the effectiveness of Earth's technology, but also the strength of their newfound unity. As the ships blasted off toward Gliese 581, Jack and Alara watched, knowing that the battle ahead would be a turning point one way or another. The interstellar journey to the Gliese 581 star system was tense. The fleet, a mix of Galactic Council and Earth ships, traveled in tight formation. Jack Turner, now acting as a combat coordinator, monitored the ship's progress from the command deck of the lead vessel, his eyes rarely straying from the tactical displays. Dr. Alara Miles joined him, reviewing the last-minute updates on their battle strategy. Everything's in place, Jack. The new munitions have been distributed, and the troops are ready. Jack nodded, his expression tight with concentration. It's do or die now. Let's hope our training pays off. As they approached the system, the Vrock supply depot came into view, a sprawling complex orbiting a desolate planet. It was heavily fortified, bristling with defense turrets and patrolled by Vrock fighter crafts. The scale of the operation was daunting. Commence attack formation, Jack ordered. The fleet split, with smaller, agile fighters peeling off to engage the Vrock patrols, while the larger ships began a bombardment to disable the depot's external defenses. The battle erupted into chaos. The space around Gliese 581 lit up with the blaze of energy weapons and the distinctive trails of Earth's ballistic projectiles. The Vrock fighters, agile and deadly, swooped in, unleashing bursts of plasma fire. However, they were not prepared for the kinetic punch of the projectiles. Several of their fighters were taken out early in the skirmish, throwing their formations into disarray. On Jack's command, special ops teams, including units trained on Moonbase Alpha, launched in armored shuttles toward the depot's main hangar. Their mission was to infiltrate the depot and sabotage its core energy systems. Inside one of the shuttles, Jack watched through the viewport as they dodged incoming fire. "Steady, team," he encouraged, gripping the seat as the shuttle rocked from a near miss. "Remember your training." The shuttle landed with a jolt in the depot's hangar. Jack and his team disembarked swiftly, moving into the maze of corridors within the depot. The interior was stark, illuminated by harsh artificial light. They encountered resistance immediately. Vrock soldiers, heavily armored and menacing, engaged them with energy rifles. Utilizing their projectile weapons, Jack's team countered effectively. The Vrocks, unaccustomed to the ballistic tactics, were quickly overwhelmed. The team pushed forward, navigating through the depot with the help of a digital map Alara had prepared. After intense combat, they reached the core room. The engineers set charges while Jack and the others fended off more Vrock soldiers. Every second counted. "Explosive set!" shouted one of the engineers, a Pythian who had become one of Jack's most trusted allies. "Everyone out, now!" Jack ordered. They retreated back to their shuttle, racing against time. As they launched away from the depot, the charges detonated, sending a shockwave that rippled through the station. The depot's energy systems went dark, its orbit destabilized. Cheers broke out among the team, their faces lit by the explosion's glow visible through the shuttle's rear viewport. "Direct hit," Alara exclaimed over the comm. "The depot's down. Good work, everyone." As the fleet regrouped, the victory was palpable, but so was the cost. Casualties were reported among the fleet, a sober reminder of the battle's stakes. Jack slumped into his seat, relief and exhaustion washing over him. "It's a win, but this is just the beginning," he said, meeting Alara's gaze. "The Vrocks will retaliate." Alara nodded, her face somber. "We'll be ready. This victory proves we can fight them on equal footing. Let's prepare for the next round." The Battle of Gliese. 581 marked a crucial victory for the Galactic Council and Earth Alliance. Their effective use of human projectile technology had turned the tide, demonstrating that even a technologically advanced foe could be outmaneuvered with innovation and bravery. After their success at Gliese 581, morale among the Galactic Council forces was at an all-time high. The victory had proven the effectiveness of Earth's projectile weapons and had galvanized the Alliance. The Council decided it was time to take the fight directly to the Vrocks by targeting their homeworld, Vrocara. Jack Turner was heavily involved in the planning of the mission, dubbed Operation Heartstrike. The objective was clear: infiltrate Vrocara, disable the planetary defenses, and cripple the Vrock military command. It was an ambitious plan, potentially turning the tide of the war if successful. On board the command ship en route to Vrockara, Jack met with his team, which included both human and alien commandos trained in Earth's projectile weaponry. Dr. Alara Miles was also there, providing the last-minute technical support and modifications to their equipment. "Remember, the Vrock's central command hub is our target," Jack briefed his team, pointing at the holographic map floating above the table. "We take that out, and their ability to coordinate their forces crumbles." Alara chimed in. "I've updated your armor and weapons to handle the expected Vrock countermeasures. We've only got one shot at this, so make it count." The fleet dropped out of hyperspace on the fringes of the Vrockara system, immediately encountering stiff resistance. Vrock defense satellites launched waves of attacks, which were met by coordinated fire from the fleet's destroyers, clearing a path towards the planet. Jack's team, in a heavily armored dropship, descended towards Vrockara amidst a barrage of anti-aircraft fire. The dropship shook violently as it breached the atmosphere, but the pilot kept it steady. 5 minutes to drop zone," the pilot announced over the roar of the engines. Landing in a forested area near the command hub, Jack and his team quickly disembarked, moving under the cover of the dense alien foliage. The planet's gravity was heavier than Earth's, a constant pressure against their bodies, but their training on various worlds had prepared them for this. They encountered Vrock patrols almost immediately. The firefights were intense, showcasing the brutal efficiency of the Vrock soldiers. However, the element of surprise and the lethal precision of the human-led team's projectile weapons gave them the edge needed to push forward. Approaching the central command hub, they used explosives to breach the outer wall. Once inside, they fought their way through corridors towards the main control room. Every corner and every door could lead to death, and the air was thick with the smell of ozone and blood. Finally, at the heart of the enemy's lair, Jack planted charges around the command center. "Alara, we're set here. Start the countdown," he communicated via his headset. "Countdown started, Jack. Get out of there. You have 5 minutes." Alara's voice responded, tense but clear. The team retreated, fighting off reinforcements as they moved back to their extraction point. With moments to spare, they boarded their returning dropship, lifting off as explosions rocked the command hub behind them. From orbit, the destruction was visible as a series of bright flashes. "Command hub is down," Jack confirmed to the fleet, his voice heavy with both triumph and fatigue. Alara's voice came through, mixed with static. "Confirmed, Jack. Great work. This should give us the breathing room we need." As the fleet rendezvoused to assess their next move, Jack looked out at the stars. Vrockara's burning command hub marked a significant victory, but he knew the war was far from over. Yet, today's success had shown that even the mightiest could fall, and he was ready to lead the charge to ensure they would. The fallout from the destruction of the Vrock command hub was immediate and far-reaching. Without their central command, the Vrock forces were thrown into disarray, struggling to coordinate a defense against the increasingly bold operations of the Galactic Council's forces. The Council, buoyed by the recent victory, pressed their advantage, launching a series of successful attacks that further diminished the Vrock's hold on their conquered territories. On Earth, news of the victory at Vrockara was met with jubilation and a renewed sense of pride in humanity's role in the galactic community. Jack Turner, however, remained focused on the task at hand. He knew that the final push, a direct assault on Vrockara to secure the planet and end the Vrock threat once and for all, was still to come. Gathering his team aboard the command ship orbiting Vrockara, Jack laid out the final plan. "This is it," he began, his eyes sweeping over the faces of his diverse crew, human and alien alike. "One last strike to ensure peace. We take the capital, we end their war machine for good." Dr. Alara Miles, ever the scientist even in war, provided updates on their gear. "All weapons are optimized for this fight. We've learned much about the Vrock's weaknesses. Use it." The assault began at dawn, with Jack's team leading the ground forces. They met fierce resistance, as the Vrocks, desperate to protect their homeworld, fought with a ferocity they hadn't shown before. The battle was brutal, pushing Jack and his team to their limits. As they approached the capital, a massive Vrock counterattack pinned them down. Jack, realizing they wouldn't all make it if they didn't get support soon, made a critical decision. "Alara, get everyone to push forward. I'll hold them off." Alara protested, but Jack was firm. "It's the only way. Go!" With heavy heart, Alara ordered the troops to move, while Jack stayed back, using his rifle to cover their retreat and advance. His actions allowed his team to breach the capital defenses, but at a great personal cost. As the Vrox converged on his position, Jack fought valiantly, knowing he was buying his friends and comrades the time they needed. Back on Earth, as reports of the victory came in, celebrations broke out across the globe. The Galactic Council declared the battle a turning point in the war. The Vrox, unable to recover from the loss of their capital and the disarray brought by the destruction of their command hub, agreed to a ceasefire. The war was over, but at a tremendous cost. Jack Turner, hero of the Galactic Council, had fallen. In the aftermath, Alara Miles returned to Earth, her joy at their victory tempered by grief. She spoke at the memorial held for Jack, her voice steady but filled with emotion. Jack Turner was not just a soldier, he was a visionary who saw what we could accomplish together. He taught us all, human and alien alike, what it means to fight not just for survival, but for a better future. The galaxy remembered Jack as a symbol of courage and unity, a man whose legacy was not just in the battles he fought, but in the peace he helped forge. His story, and the story of humanity's pivotal role in the Galactic Council, was taught in schools across Earth and beyond, inspiring countless others to look to the stars, not as conquerors, but as allies. In the years that followed, the Galactic Council grew stronger, with Earth at its heart, continuing to uphold the ideals that Jack Turner had fought and sacrificed for. Humanity had not only survived its trial by fire, but had emerged as a key player in the cosmic arena, forever changing the interstellar landscape.